Okay, so today we're diving into something pretty wild. The story of Donald Trump,
Yeah.
from real estate,
Mm.
to this like political, I don't know, icon almost.
A legend.
Right. And we're gonna,
That's what the excerpt calls him.
yeah, Donald Trump, the rise of an outsider and the making of a legend.
Exactly.
That's what we're looking at today. And what's so crazy to me is like he was already like a household name before he even
Absolutely.
touched politics, right? Like you think of Trump, those gold buildings, that hair, the
100%.
the apprentice, like
He was already a star.
he was a star. He was like this symbol of, I guess, American success.
Yeah, you could say that.
So like, how does this guy who's never been in politics
Right.
suddenly become this political force?
Well, I think that's what's so fascinating about his story. I mean, think back to 2015 when he announced he was running for president.
It was like, what?
Nobody saw it coming.
Yeah.
Total shock to the political establishment.
It was like the system was like, wait, who is this guy?
Exactly. He's a complete outsider. No experience in government whatsoever.
But people loved it.
They did. Millions rallied behind him.
Yeah.
They saw him as this, like, agent of change, someone who could actually shake things up.
And that slogan, "Make America Great Again."
Powerful.
It really captured, I think, how a lot of people were feeling, like they'd been forgotten.
Absolutely. Those who felt left behind, unheard.
Exactly.
He spoke directly to them.
And it wasn't just what he said, Brent. It was how he said it.
Mm.
The source mentions this, like raw, unfiltered style.
Oh, yeah. Totally different from the typical polished politician.
Yeah. And he was constantly on Twitter, like just,
Blowing things up.
right, saying whatever he thought.
And it was fascinating to watch. Supporters saw it as authenticity.
Real.
Real, yeah. And critics, of course, they saw it as unprofessional.
Unpresidential, even.
But either way, you couldn't ignore him.
So then 2016 happens. And it's not just an election. It feels like
Evolution.
this. Yeah. Like suddenly this like brash tell it like it is guy
Yeah.
is in the White House.
Yeah.
And the source talks about his policies on immigration,
Yeah, he's pretty
trade deals, the economy, all of it sparking these massive debates.
so much division.
Yeah, total division.
Yeah.
What made these policies like distinctly Trumpian, would you say?
Well, one thing that stands out is his focus on, like, putting America first, that protectionist stance,
Well,
especially with trade. Like, take the trade war with China, for instance. Trump really believed, and the excerpt highlights this, that existing trade deals were hurting American workers
Right.
and industries, too. So he slapped tariffs on Chinese goods.
Wow.
It was a bold move, shook up global markets, sparked this whole tit-for-tat battle.
Did it work?
Well, that's debatable. But it was definitely a big shift from how previous presidents approached trade.
For sure. And then, domestically, you can't talk about Trump without talking about immigration.
Yeah, that was another defining issue.
The wall he wanted to build on the U.S.-Mexico border.
A symbol, for sure.
Right, like this physical representation of his whole stance on, like, restricting immigration.
Exactly. It was a major campaign promise. It really got his base fired up.
But at the same time, it caused these huge protests.
People saw it as discriminatory, inhumane.
Yeah, it was really controversial.
His presidency was constant, like this, back and forth, intense support from his base, and then just fierce opposition from the other side.
Every single move he made was like,
Under a microscope.
yeah, debated, analyzed, criticized.
It really polarized the country, like the source says.
And even after losing to Biden in 2020, he didn't just disappear,
Oh, not at all.
claims of a stolen election, those rallies.
Still very active online.
Yeah, it felt like he was still, like, dominating the conversation.
He was.
What do you think the impact of all of that has been, even now?
Well, his refusal to concede and those allegations of election fraud,
Without any real proof.
right, without solid evidence, that really deepened the divide in the country. And I think it fueled this distrust in the electoral process for some people.
That's scary.
It is, and the consequences of that, we're still seeing them play out.
And it's not just that. He's, like, reshaped the Republican Party, hasn't he?
He's definitely left his mark. This excerpt really emphasizes that. Politicians are emulating his style, his rhetoric.
So, like, what does that mean for the future of American politics?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Will Trump run again in 2024?
Will Trumpism continue to be a force?
It's hard to say. The source portrays him as someone who thrives on the fight, win or lose.
It's crazy, right? We started with Trump the outsider, and now he's this political icon, this figure who completely changed how American politics works.
His impact is undeniable.
Yeah. And his future is, like, a total mystery.
The story's not over yet.
Definitely not. So here's something for you to think about. Imagine if someone with a totally different background, not a businessman, not a celebrity, tried to do what Trump did. Could they pull it off? Would it work? What do you think that tells us about where American politics is headed?
That's a really good question.
It's something to ponder for sure.
It is.
Okay, well, that was our deep dive into the rise of Donald Trump. Fascinating stuff as always.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.